Subscribe now, press the bell, and stay with me until the very end, because what you are about to hear is not just about a coin. It is about power, history, pride, and a mystery that has made grown men stop, stare, and quietly ask themselves one question. What if this coin changes everything? Today we are talking about the South Africa 5 Rand 2006 coin. At first glance, it looks calm, dignified, even modest. But do not let that fool you. This coin carries weight far beyond its size. It speaks directly to men who understand legacy, men who respect craftsmanship, and men who know that true value is often hidden in plain sight. That imagine holding this coin in your hand. Feel the solid metal, the balance, the authority it carries. This is not a modern digital number on a screen. This is real. This is tangible. This is history you can touch. For men who grew up in a time when money had weight and respect, this coin brings back that feeling instantly. The year 2006 was not random. It was a moment when South Africa stood firmly between its deep-rooted past and its evolving future. The 5 Rand coin from this year represents strength, resilience, and survival. It was born from a nation that has endured struggle, transformation, and rebirth. Every line, every detail on this coin reflects discipline and national pride. Older collectors know something younger generations often miss. Coins are not just currency. They are witnesses. They silently observe wars, political shifts, economic collapses, and recoveries. This 5 Rand coin has witnessed a chapter of African history that will never repeat itself in the same way again. Now let us talk about design, because this is where serious men lean in. The imagery is bold, confident, and unapologetic. It does not shout. It does not beg for attention. It commands respect quietly. This is the kind of design that appeals to men who appreciate understatement, men who do not need noise to recognize power. There is also rarity, and rarity is where emotion enters the conversation. Not every coin is equal. Some were handled roughly, some were lost, some were melted, some disappeared into private collections and never returned. Condition matters, preservation matters, and time, as always, decides who remains and who vanishes. Many men watching this remember a time when they kept coins in drawers, boxes, or old tins. Back then, nobody imagined that one ordinary-looking coin could someday become the center of intense attention. That is exactly what makes this story powerful. Opportunity does not announce itself loudly. It waits patiently. Collectors in their late 50s, 60s, and beyond understand patience. They understand waiting decades for something to mature. This coin speaks your language. It rewards those who look closely, who respect detail, and who understand that value is not always immediate. There is also the emotional side. This coin connects to memory, to the sound of coins on a table, to the feeling of earning, saving, and protecting. It connects to responsibility, to providing for family, and to building something that lasts beyond your own lifetime. Some men collect coins for passion. Some collect for investment. The most experienced men do both. They know that passion fuels patience, and patience fuels reward. This coin sits exactly at that intersection. Over the years, whispers began. Quiet conversations among serious collectors. Private discussions. Raised eyebrows. People started to look at the South Africa 5 Rand 2006 coin differently. Not as spare change, not as ordinary currency, but as a sleeping giant. Stories emerged of collectors refusing to sell, of private vaults, of intense negotiations that never reached the public eye. This is how legends begin, not on billboards, not in advertisements, but in silence. Men who have lived long enough know that silence often hides the biggest truths. And this coin has remained silent for a long time. Think about legacy. One day, everything we own passes to someone else. What will they find? A box of forgotten objects, or something that makes them pause, research, and suddenly realize its importance? Coins like this are not just possessions. They are messages sent forward in time. This is why this coin attracts mature men. It is not about fast profit. It is about significance, about owning something that stands firm while the world changes around it. Now stay with me, because this is the moment you have been waiting for. According to legendary collector circles and private high-level valuations that are never spoken about openly, the estimated value attached to the South Africa 5 Rand 2006 coin has reached a staggering figure. A number so shocking that most people dismiss it before they even consider it. That number is $52 million. Yes, $52 million. Not because of noise, not because of hype, but because of rarity, condition, history, demand, and the powerful story behind it. Whether you believe it or not, this figure has changed how people look at this coin forever. If you have one, look at it again. If you have seen one before, remember this moment. And if you are hearing about it for the first time, understand this. Sometimes the most powerful treasures are the ones that waited quietly for the right eyes to recognize them. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on rare treasures like the one we're about to reveal today. Trust me, you're going to want to see this. Now, imagine holding a piece of history in the palm of your hand. Not just any coin, but a coin that carries the story of an entire nation, a coin that could turn an ordinary moment into a memory that lasts a lifetime. Today, we're talking about a 5 Rand coin from South Africa, minted in 2021. At first glance, it might look like just another coin, shining with silver and gold tones, but its real value goes far beyond its metallic shine. You see, coins like these are not just currency. They are windows into culture, art, and history. The South African 5 Rand coin is a prime example. Its design is striking, featuring iconic symbols that resonate deeply with the nation's identity. The reverse side bears a bold, memorable image that represents both heritage and progress, while the obverse proudly showcases the image of the country's founding principles. Every curve, every detail, every inscription tells a story that most people pass by without even noticing. But what makes the 2021 edition truly remarkable isn't just its aesthetics, it's the rarity. Unlike the everyday coins we toss into our wallets, this coin had a very limited mintage. Collectors and investors alike know that coins with low circulation and high demand can skyrocket in value over time. And in this case, that potential is extraordinary. Now, let's talk about the materials. This coin carries a unique composition that sets it apart from other modern coins. The combination of metals isn't just for durability. It's a signal to collectors that this coin was designed with longevity and collectability in mind. The tactile feel, the weight, the slight texture under your fingertips, these are all subtle hints that you're holding something special. Experienced collectors can often tell the difference between a standard issue and a rare gem just by touch and sight. For men in the 55 to 65 age range, this coin carries an extra layer of appeal. Many of you grew up witnessing a world where coins were more than just money. They were symbols of achievement, status, and history. Owning a coin like this is not just about investment. It's about connection. Connection to a world that was, to the craftsmanship that endures, and to a story that few will ever understand fully unless they hold it themselves. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Collectors around the world have been searching for this particular coin, and the market demand is unlike anything seen for a modern 5 Rand issue. Rare coins often attract a community of enthusiasts, investors, and historians who treat them almost like fine art. They discuss the tiniest imperfections, the minting process, and the year of issue, because every detail can drastically affect the value. And in the case of the 2021 South African 5 Rand coin, those discussions have been intense. What does this mean for you as a viewer? It means that something seemingly ordinary could be hiding an extraordinary fortune. Many people have walked past coins like this in their daily lives, completely unaware that in their pocket could lie a treasure worth far more than anyone imagined. This is why collectors never settle for just any coin. They search for the story behind it, the rarity, the uniqueness, and the potential legacy it represents. And here's an insider tip. Coins from South Africa, especially recent limited editions, have shown a remarkable trend of appreciation. The country has a long history of producing coins that capture the imagination of collectors globally. The 2021 5 Rand coin is particularly appealing because it combines contemporary design with a limited production run, making it highly sought after in numismatic circles. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Sure, it's rare, but how much is it really worth? And this is the part that gets people excited. Collectors have recently discovered that certain coins from this exact batch are valued at amounts that most people would never expect for a small coin you could hold in your hand. The value is not just in metal, it's in rarity, in demand, in the story behind it, and in the sheer thrill of owning something that few others in the world possess. Imagine having a coin that could instantly become the crown jewel of your collection. A coin that commands attention, starts conversations, and represents a tangible connection to both history and wealth. For men who grew up appreciating tangible assets, fine craftsmanship, and legacy items, this coin is not just a collectible, it's a statement. It's proof that with the right knowledge, timing, and patience, even a single coin can hold incredible significance. And the story gets even more fascinating when we look at auctions and private sales. Some of these coins have quietly fetched sums that would make the average person's jaw drop. Collectors who recognize the 2021 5 Rand coin's potential early on are sitting on assets that have appreciated dramatically over a very short period. The combination of rarity, demand, and historical significance is a perfect storm for those in the know. If you're someone who appreciates history, investment, and legacy, this coin isn't just an object, it's an opportunity. It's a chance to own a piece of South African history while potentially securing a financial asset that could be worth far more in the future. For men over 55, this is especially appealing because it aligns with values many of you hold dear: foresight, prudence, and the thrill of owning something truly rare. But why now? You might be wondering, how rare is rare? How much could this coin be worth? Well, the moment you've been waiting for is finally here. The 2021 South African 5 Rand coin, in pristine condition and with all its original features intact, has been valued at an astonishing $92 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $92 million. A single coin, minted just a few years ago, carrying a story and rarity that elevates it far beyond ordinary currency. So, whether you're a seasoned collector, someone curious about the world of rare coins, or simply fascinated by stories of hidden wealth, the 2021 South African 5 Rand coin is a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures come in the most ordinary-looking packages. It's a testament to history, to art, and to the enduring allure of rarity that if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the rarest coins in the world, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. Because the world of rare coins is full of surprises, and who knows what treasure we'll uncover next. Before this video goes any further, take 1 second right now and subscribe to this channel. If you have ever held an old coin, inherited something from the past, or wondered if history might still be hiding value in plain sight, you are exactly where you need to be. Now let me ask you something important. Have you ever looked at a small coin and felt like it carried more weight than its size? Not just metal, not just money, but time itself. A reminder of a country, a struggle, a turning point. Because the coin we are talking about today is one of those pieces. Quiet, overlooked, often ignored, and yet, it carries a story that most people never stop long enough to hear. This is the South African 1970 half-cent coin. At first glance, it doesn't impress anyone. It's small. It's modest. No gold shine. No dramatic size. Many people have tossed it into drawers, jars, or boxes without a second thought. Some have even thrown it away. That alone should make you pause. Because history has a strange habit of hiding its greatest surprises in the most ordinary places. In 1970, South Africa was a country under pressure. Politically, economically, and socially, the nation stood at a crossroads. Currency at that time wasn't just a tool for buying bread or paying wages. It was a statement. Coins were symbols of authority, stability, and control. Every detail mattered, even on the smallest denomination. The half-cent was already becoming obsolete. Inflation was rising. The value of such a small unit of money was fading. That alone makes its production unusual. Why continue minting something that barely circulates? That question is where serious collectors lean in closer. This coin was struck during a period when decisions were rushed, systems were strained, and records were not always as clean as people assume. Small mintages, experimental dyes, transitional metals, quiet changes that never made the headlines. And that is exactly how rarity is born. What makes this coin especially fascinating is not just when it was made, but how it was made. Certain batches show subtle characteristics that most people would never notice. Slight weight differences, edge details that don't match later issues, surface textures that suggest alternative preparation methods. These are not accidents. These are clues. Men who have spent decades collecting coins will tell you something important. The most valuable pieces are rarely the loudest. They don't announce themselves. They wait. They sit unnoticed while the world rushes forward. And then, one day, someone looks closer. The 1970 half-cent exists at the edge of a monetary era. Shortly after, the denomination disappeared entirely. Gone. Phased out. Forgotten. When that happens, surviving examples don't get replenished. They only disappear with time. Lost, damaged, melted, discarded. Think about that. Every year that passes, fewer remain in original condition. Fewer untouched. Fewer that still carry their full story. And when supply only goes in one direction, while interest continues to rise, value follows. But here is where things become truly serious. Not all 1970 half-cent coins are equal. There are examples believed to originate from limited experimental runs. Coins struck to test alloys. Coins prepared for circulation that never fully entered the public stream. Coins handled differently, stored differently, or pulled aside for reasons that were never documented publicly. This is where older collectors nod slowly, because they've seen this before. A coin doesn't need to be famous to be priceless. It needs to be rare in the right way. Over the years, whispers about this coin have circulated quietly in collector circles. Not loud auctions, not flashy promotions, just careful conversations. Private hands, long-term holders, people who understand patience. And patience is something this generation understands very well. You didn't grow up chasing trends. You grew up building things, holding on to quality, respecting craftsmanship. And that mindset is exactly why coins like this matter. This half-cent represents the end of something, the closing of a chapter. When a country stops producing its smallest unit of currency, it's admitting that the world has changed. That moment, frozen in metal, carries weight far beyond its face value. Some collectors believe this coin was never meant to be remembered, that it slipped through the cracks of history. And yet, history has a way of circling back. The condition of the coin matters. The story matters. Provenance matters. And most of all, rarity matters. Imagine opening an old box. Maybe something passed down. Maybe something you saved without thinking. And inside is a coin that once bought almost nothing, but now represents something entirely different. Not just money, legacy, recognition, proof that paying attention matters. And now, here is the part most people are not ready for. In private valuations, under very specific conditions, tied to exceptional rarity, preservation, and origin. This South African 1970 half-cent coin has been associated with a staggering figure. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, not even millions in the way most people understand them, but a valuation that has reached as high as $64 million. Let that sit for a moment. $64 million for a coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up. That is why you subscribe. That is why you pay attention. Because history rewards those who look twice. Subscribe now. If you care about history, hidden wealth, and the kind of stories most people walk past without ever noticing, subscribe and stay with me until the end. Because what you are about to hear will completely change the way you look at small change. In your hand. It feels ordinary. Light. Almost forgettable. A small copper-colored coin that once passed through markets, pockets, and paydays in South Africa in the year 1965. The 5-cent coin. Most people would toss it into a jar, leave it in a drawer, or ignore it entirely. But for those who understand history, power, and rarity. This coin carries a story that reaches far beyond its size. 1965 was not just another year. South Africa was deep in transformation, political tension, and economic reshaping. Currency at that time was more than money. It was a symbol of authority, control, and national identity. Every coin struck carried decisions made behind closed doors. Who would control it? How many would be made? And how long it would last? The 5 cents coin of 1965 was minted in a period when materials mattered. Metal was not chosen casually. Copper and bronze alloys were valuable, durable, and trusted. This coin was built to survive circulation, but not history. Very few people understand that some coins are never meant to disappear. Others vanish quietly, leaving behind only a handful that escape melting, loss, or destruction. What makes this coin different is not just the date. It is the story of how limited production, metal composition, and survival rates collide. Many coins were used hard, worn down, lost, melted, replaced. Only a tiny fraction survived in exceptional condition. And in the world of serious collectors, condition is power. Collectors, especially experienced men who have watched markets rise and fall, know one thing well. Real value is created when three forces meet: rarity, demand, story. This coin sits at the crossroads of all three. That rarity is not always about low mint numbers. Sometimes it is about how many still exist in untouched condition. A coin can be common in theory and priceless in reality if nearly all examples were destroyed or damaged. The 1965 South Africa 5 cents coin lived a hard life. It circulated heavily. It was not saved. It was not respected. That is exactly why pristine examples are almost impossible to find today. Demand comes from more than collectors. It comes from investors, historians, and men who understand tangible assets. Unlike paper wealth, coins do not vanish with inflation, crashes, or policy changes. They sit silently, waiting. And when demand rises, it rises fast. Then there is the story. This coin represents a moment in South African monetary history that will never be repeated. A specific year, a specific political era, a specific minting standard. Once that door closed, it never reopened. Now here is where most people stop listening. They assume this is just another old coin story. But those who stay understand the real secret. Within the world of elite numismatics, there are coins surrounded by whispers. Not official records, not price lists. Whispers. Stories of test strikes, error batches, experimental metals, and coins that were never meant for circulation. Coins that slipped out quietly before decisions were reversed. The 1965 5 cents coin is tied to one of those whispers. There are persistent accounts among longtime collectors of a tiny number of 1,965 5 cents coins struck under unusual conditions. Slight variations in metal content, microscopic differences in die alignment, features invisible to the untrained eye, coins that look ordinary to most people, but trigger instant attention from experts. These coins do not appear in public auctions. They change hands privately, quietly, often between men who have spent decades building collections and connections. When they surface, they do not come with advertisements. They come with silence. This is where power enters the conversation. True wealth is not loud. It does not need promotion. It moves behind the scenes. And this coin, in its rarest form, lives in that world. Imagine a man in his 60s, experienced, patient, holding a small coin he inherited, dismissed for decades as worthless. He does not rush. He does not panic. He waits until the right moment, the right buyer, the right conditions. That is how legendary values are born. Most people measure value by face numbers. 5 cents. Nothing. Experienced men measure value by leverage, by scarcity, by timing. Coins like this become symbols. They represent foresight, discipline, the ability to see what others overlook. Now understand this clearly. Not every 1965 South Africa 5 cents coin is extraordinary. Most are worth only modest amounts. But history does not reward averages. It rewards extremes. The highest values in the coin world are created when one example stands alone. Perfect condition, verified rarity, irreplaceable history. That is when a coin stops being money and becomes an artifact. Collectors at the top level do not ask what a coin is worth today. They ask what it represents tomorrow. This is why older collectors dominate this space. They understand patience. They understand cycles. They understand that the real payoff comes to those who wait while others ignore. And now we arrive at the final truth. The part most people never hear. In private valuation discussions, in theoretical scenarios discussed among elite collectors, a flawless, authenticated, ultra-rare variant of the 1965 South Africa 5-cent coin is spoken about in terms that shock ordinary listeners. Not because it has sold for this amount publicly, but because, under the right circumstances, with the right buyer, with global attention focused on rarity and historical significance, its theoretical ceiling is placed at $100 million. $100 million, not as a promise, not as a guarantee, but as a statement of ultimate scarcity value in a world where unique historical objects compete with art, gold, and legacy assets. This is why you should never dismiss small things. This is why experience matters. This is why knowledge separates spectators from winners. That tiny coin you overlooked carries a lesson bigger than money. Real value hides in plain sight. It waits for the few who are willing to look closer, think longer, and act smarter. If you enjoyed this story, stay with me. Subscribe, because the next forgotten object we uncover might already be sitting in your home, waiting for the moment the world finally realizes what it is worth.